let's jump into this deck right here. So today we are just going to be discussing how you can make your content on social media work harder by taking a paid first approach, as we call it. But first, I just kind of want to run through and introduce our agency and our philosophy a little bit more. So Base Beauty, we are an omni-channel creative agency made up of pioneering thinkers, which is why both legacy and indie brands come to us to help tell their story to their audience in the most compelling way possible. Our expertise is completely focused in the beauty and wellness industries across every category, from pro makeup to fragrance and everything in between that you can think of. And we pride ourselves on being leaders in this industry. We're not followers. All of our expertise, including content development strategies, are personalized for each of our clients based on what their goals and their budget is. And part of what makes our model of innovation possible is this industry structure that we have. So we staff with 9 areas of expertise at Base Beauty, and they're all optimized for the best efficiency and workflow. Our teams are not siloed. We pride ourselves on the fact that they're not siloed. So from brand strategy and public relations to branding and content creation, we keep the lines of communications really open between all of these departments so that we can ensure the information sharing and the best practices are effective across all of these departments. And our program success team kind of fills that role of bridging each of the departments' creative work together to make sure that it's optimized. This team's role is typically played by a marketing manager at a brand, but we do it for our clients. So think about this. If we're developing creative for social, we know what that means. It's pretty simple to apply best practices to ensure the work looks right and works for the platform. But what about high-level strategic work? For us, the philosophy is one and the same. When we are working on social content creation, we want to think about this in a bigger, more strategic, more optimized way. So if we're creating something that's for TV, how can it also live in a YouTube ad? Or if our PR team is organizing an event or a partnership, we're thinking about how that can be leveraged to land on social media and in advertising. So we're asking ourselves these questions and creating assets that can solve for them. So with this in mind, every single piece of content we create is optimized in what we call a paid first approach. Every single post, every caption that we write, every story, everything is strategic. Nothing is arbitrary. There's no filler content, no fluff. Everything is serving a purpose. So as we move through this today, I want you to ask yourself, are you and your team just filling spaces because you have a marketing calendar that you need to fill up? Think about your content. Do you feel like it's sometimes being created just because there's a deliverable that you need to meet rather than serving your purpose and value in your KPIs? Are you creating content that is consistently leveling up your strategy? At Base Beauty, making every piece of content count is a part of our core values, and our values shine through in every person at Base Beauty, and they live and breathe through the work that we do. In the spirit of our values, it's important to us that we share our knowledge with our industry. So I want to share some tips with you today about how you can level up your digital marketing efforts. With the advent of a multitude of digital opportunities, marketing has changed wildly over the past several years. In 2020, digital advertising, especially social media, has really solidified itself as a must for the marketing mix for businesses. Companies are able to reach consumers in more ways than ever. Social media offers an increased touch point and increased information for these consumers. So you're already creating content, you're paying your photographers, you're enlisting designers, you're working with incredible educated influencers. How can we go deeper? Let's talk about how we can level up each piece of content that you're creating, whether the end goal is for it to live on organic or paid, because all of that content is serving your KPIs. Between privacy issues, being bombarded with ads and information, and a distrust of media and corporations, consumers are moving through the world more defensive now than they ever have before. As marketers, we can't just watch from the sidelines, we have to participate. And at Base Beauty, we are consumers in the space, so we often stop and ask ourselves, what makes me stop and listen? What makes me take an action on a post or an ad? The key to the answer to this is to keep the consumer at the center of what you do. So not only are we always looking at things as a big picture, but we're always thinking about the customer first. We are putting the consumer in the driver's seat. She is driving the car and we are taking cues from her. So in order to keep her at the center, we have to answer one very critical question for the consumer. Why do I care? Why should the customer care? How do you reach the right consumer and when do you reach them? How do you ensure that that content that you're creating will resonate with them? You have to build trust and show authenticity, and you can use social media content to create an emotional connection with that consumer, whether it's landing on organic or paid social. The process that we use to create content that answers that question is in our name, Base Beauty. Base. We begin with insight building through social listening, benchmarking, and competitive analysis. And then we analyze those insights to determine what type of campaign will best suit the needs and goals of the brand. So we put our strategy into action through a team-wide brainstorm and then data-driven curation. And finally, we can execute the campaign on the pathway to purchase. So I'm going to take you through these 4 steps with examples of how B, A, S, and E are valuable in creating this paid-first content. So step 1 is building insights. Insight gathering is the foundation for the work. Combining social listening, labeling, benchmarking, and trend analysis provides insights that can be used to create effective content. And while these require a human touch and ear to the ground, they can also be aided by the use of tools like Falcon or Social Bakers or any other social listening platforms. Listening for particular topics through labeling and social listening and combining those insights with applicable trends help you to get into the mind of the customer, and whether they're meeting your brand for the first time in awareness ads or seeing an organic post on your feed that they may have been following for years. So because our team is not siloed, the organic community manager, along with the paid community manager, our publicists, our strategists, our designers, and our content creators, they all work together on both types of content, and they can be sure that sharing information is, it helps so that we are always improving the content. They can share the information seamlessly through all of those teams. Once you've gathered these insights, they can help you guide the way through content creation and repurposing. So For example, you can see here, our sunscreen client, Elta MD, they're a Colgate-owned brand, and they are a professional skincare and sun care brand dispensed through the dermatologist channel. Looking at trends and listening to conversations happening in this brand's community, we were able to see that conversations surrounding product purchasing, so how to get the products, where to get the products, what products are right for a particular person, all those questions have doubled in the last year. And we also see, not surprisingly, many of you could probably guess this, but searches for sunscreen increased drastically during the warmer months. So one of the missions for the brand is to increase awareness of sun safety year-round. And so we were able to take these insights of trends and customer questions and use them to help educate consumers in a way that makes sense to them and also makes sense for the brand. So step 2, analysis. In this step, we're going to focus again on that same brand from step 1, Elta MD. Their customer is skincare obsessed, and they are getting their products from a brand that they trust, which is very important to them. So while she wants to get information about ingredients and confirmation from these professionals, the customer also wants to be entertained and have fun on social. So during this step, we analyze our findings and we compare the insights gleaned from social listening to those conversations happening in the greater social sphere and trending content, and we tie that into the brand to create an authentic content that resonates. So regardless of if it's ultimately landing on organic or paid. And by using these key insights, you'll know that it's going to resonate. It's going to land with your customer when she sees it because you've done that research to understand the questions she's asking and what she's looking for out of your brand. So with the customer insight in mind, we didn't just follow a popular visual trend. We thought of new ways to utilize and adapt it, and we also used it to answer those common questions from the customers. So these types of assets can be utilized for organic, boosting, and different social ads as well. If you create them with the right mindset, your customer will feel as though you're reading her mind wherever they find the content. So whether she found it because she's following the feed and she's scrolling her timeline, or she found it because it was promoted to her through another form, whether it landed in a story promotion, an ad on Facebook, however it landed with her, it is going to really resonate with her. So these digital hijacking examples here on the screen that we created prove to be top performers on Instagram because they help to build trust by educating and informing the customer while also providing a fun way for the brand to play along on this digital trend. So while we want to educate audiences, we also want to do it in these like bite-sized moments so that it's easy for customers to digest the information. On the left here, the first example was celebrating a launch for the brand, and this had a 66% higher organic engagement rate than other posts. The second post, a simple, snappy video, was saved more than 96%, was saved more times than 96% of the other content. And the third post, a press win that mimicked the style that you can see used in Instagram stories, garnered more profile visits than 99% of the content on organic. So raise your hand if you have a makeup palette that looks like this. I know I can't actually see you right now, but you can add it to the chat if you would like. So here on the screen, you can see this image that we created for our client. The key customer insight here was just that the customer has these really beautiful makeup palettes, but only uses one shade. So you can see in the image, there's one shade that is very visibly worn out and all the rest look brand new. So the customer doesn't know how to use the full palette. She's just using one that she's comfortable with and not getting her money's worth out of the remainder of them. So in step 3, we're focusing on our client Blushington, who is a professional makeup and skincare retailer who had to drastically pivot their business model at the start of the COVID lockdown in the United States. One arm of their business is focused on the professional makeup artists, and the other arm is focused on the consumer makeup experts. So in this third phase, we're creating a strategy and putting it into action, keeping those lines open, the communication between our different teams, which is really critical in making that work harder. So information gathered from organic campaigns, social listening, stakeholder interviews, this all led us to that insight about the makeup palette, and we concepted this image that would resonate with the audience while helping drive customers to sign up for virtual makeup classes where they could learn to use that makeup that they already owned in a more effective way. Once implemented, this image performed better than 94% of organic posts that month, and on paid it had 145% lower cost per result than the campaign average. And it also generated 4 times more results than any other ads within the campaign. So as you put your strategy into action, keeping the customer top of mind, again, is incredibly important. Rather than forcing the messaging of makeup classes here, we used a key insight from the customer to create a piece of content that we knew would resonate with her. It was relatable, and ultimately it yielded great results. So remember that your content, it can do double duty. It doesn't have to live only on organic or only on paid. So step 4 is execution. In the examples here, we took insights about the customer and we combined that with the strategy to execute these highly effective video ad campaigns and create assets that could live on both paid and organic social media. So I'll just play this first video here. The first video was created for a 50-year-old natural beauty and skincare company. Their audience is clean beauty obsessed, and they love a natural, no makeup look. We put the content out there in the form of an awareness campaign for fans. We knew we're very passionate about castor oil. We brought the super fans out to play with this content, really. The fans were always there, but we invited them to our party. And not only did they show up, but they started having conversations, not even with the brand, but between themselves in the comments. They were interacting, they were answering each other's questions and discussing the different protocols, their tips and tricks for applying this product. And we were able to monitor that. You know, the antenna is always up. We're always monitoring and listening for insights, even at stage 4. The conversations happening in the comment section gave us the insights that we needed to make the ad even more effective. And then we were able to revise it and reiterate it for even better results. One of the things that made this video so effective was that it stirred castor oil fans into a frenzy on both paid and organic. It's important to look beyond the vanity stats, beyond the likes and beyond the follows, and find those true insights. So here we saw tons of post engagements, but what we loved was seeing that over 2,000 shares, and seeing that high number of shares shows that the content is resonating with people in a way that makes them want to share it and pass it along to their friends, and that helps amplify our message. The next video, the second video here, was created for a luxury green and clean beauty brand that typically focuses more on makeup and less on skincare. And we needed to create something that would resonate with their customer who loves green beauty, but still desires an experience that's luxurious, that she would get with those other brands. And so here, showing her texture worked wonders on organic. We were able to take that insight and turn it into a paid video where we got amazing results. This ad had the highest success they'd ever had for a skincare campaign, with a return of ad spend of over 31. While these results are impressive, they're totally possible and within reach by being truly in tune with what's on the consumer's mind, from photography to designs to captions. By truly listening to the customer and audience, brands are they're able to create campaigns that speak to her whenever she finds the content, wherever she finds the content, whether she's finding it on her Instagram feed, from a Facebook ad, etc. Wherever it lands for her, she's gonna really resonate with it. So while you joyously celebrate seeing your hard work on social, as I do many times, I am constantly keeping an eye out for these insights and being sure to set up this effective testing. So we label organic posts that allow us to track how the creative is affecting the overall program. We closely monitor with our community managers on both paid and organic, and we examine beyond the vanity stats for things like shares, saves, website clicks, and comment content. So these statistics, they're much more telling than likes are, than followers are. These numbers are showing you that people are interested in the brand, that they're sharing it with their friends, they're saving it to go back and look at it again. They are clicking onto the website. Those are much more critical in measuring success. All of these strategies are amazing for leveling up social, but they're also great for leveling up your strategies on TV or any other medium. We have tons of ways to optimize your TV strategies with these philosophies too. So if you have any questions about that, you can absolutely reach out to me after the event and we can walk through how to apply these philosophies outside of social media. There are so many complexities in the world of paid and organic social, and we really didn't even brush on the surface of content repurposing, targeting and retargeting, the different types of ads or testing. But the key to making the work harder is keeping the big picture in sight and focusing on the consumer and repeating that base process continuously. Listen to what's being said on your posts and in your community and industry to build insights. Analyze those insights and compare them to bigger trends. Build your strategy and execute on the tactics and content you've created. This is this is not a process that is black and white. It's not start to finish. All of these steps are constantly working as a part of that social content machine. So I just want to leave you with this reminder that social media it's your playground and your laboratory. It's important that you make every post count, and while you play in this creative space, always remember to test and analyze to make that creative more and more effective as you continually repeat this process. So my goal for today is that everyone leaves this masterclass taking away this philosophy to their teams and making their work harder by optimizing your approach to your content creation.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank
if
you.
anybody has questions, pop on and ask away. Erica, you're thinking. You're muted.
I've already seen this with Becca, so yeah. It was like a refresher.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, because you've been taking your other
Yeah.
program. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Aubrey.
Yeah, can I ask a question? Thank you so much, Emily. That was fantastic. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about your process across platforms and formats, like how you would do a blog post and a TikTok and an Instagram, and kind of like you were talking about repurposing content and creating content in more of a batch format. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So, sorry, there's like a fly zooming around my head. I'm not sure where it came from, but yeah, so platform really, the key is differentiating the content, because of course what you're creating for Instagram doesn't make sense for TikTok, of course, especially if it's not video content. But we've seen even now that there's those controversies of posting a TikTok video onto Reel and vice versa. So we are definitely always thinking about how to differentiate the content, but still with that purpose of with that same storytelling strategy at the key at the center of it all. So really we differentiate it by the partners that we use on each of these platforms. So we are able to build these insights, like I said, for Elta MD, the sunscreen brand, skincare obsessed consumer. Education is at the center of this brand storytelling, and we can pinpoint these messages, like the fact that sun care is meant to be all year round, not just in the summer seasons. So that's the core message. And then we develop different types of content that can be shared on each platform. So we may partner with an influencer to tell that same story on TikTok, but then we might create an infographic that can be used to tell that story somewhere else. And then we might create a static post that can tell it somewhere else. So the content is being created to be to make sense for the platform that it's going on, but the storytelling is there, and it's across all of those platforms, the same story that can be told, if that answers your question.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Okay, anybody, all you talkative people. Okay, Aubrey.
I have a question.
Sure.
I could ask. Okay, so things are changing so quickly in the industry these days. What's good today was not good a year ago, certainly was not good 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm someone who was very involved 3, 4, even 5 years ago. And things have changed so quickly. I'm sitting here and I'm watching and I'm listening very intently and closely to what you're saying. And I'm saying, gosh, this has changed so fast. I don't even know where to start anymore. So somebody who is very much a novice, like me, brand owner or manager, somebody who's getting into it or getting back into it, where the heck do we start? What we want to start to approach the social side of marketing within an organization, but we don't know where to start. Do we start with a story? Do we start with an agency? Do we start by going out and hire an influencer? Where do we get going?
That's a great question. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the industry is constantly changing. Think about where we were this time last year, March 2020. It was already a completely different world. In the past few months of 2021, we've already seen these new platforms like Clubhouse pop up, newness, Instagram developing features to compete with these platforms like TikTok, and expanding IG or Instagram Live, so now they can compete with Clubhouse. Like, it is constantly going, and we are constantly monitoring these updates and researching just how to implement them in our social strategies. And I think that the key is to not put all your eggs into one basket. So when you're starting out, tons of brands rely on Instagram, and Instagram right now, they are leading the way. You know, Facebook and Instagram, they're owned, you know, they're the same company. And they're very useful tools, but you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Social media is not reliable. Things are constantly changing. Instagram's here today, it could be gone tomorrow. But that being said, it's still a great tool to utilize. And I recommend just starting by focusing on an organic strategy with a paid first mindset. So as you're building out this organic content, the storytelling that you can do through just post on your brand account. When you're developing it with paid first, then it's created and can be used down the line in a paid strategy. Boosting is a great way to get your foot in the door with paid. Boosting is very easy to do, and it's a bit less complicated than running a social media ad.
Emily, explain,
Sure.
Kurt, what boosting is.
Sure. So boosting is a great way to build awareness of your social media platform at a very minimal cost, really, compared to other advertising and marketing. So you can post your content organically, and then through Instagram, you can boost it and choose the demographics that you want that content to reach, and it can allow them, you know, it helps that build awareness and reach new people to follow your account.
It's not terribly expensive, Kurt. It's
Correct.
like $20 a week or something like that.
Yeah, you can kind of choose your price range and your the length of your campaign and stuff for each post that you boost, but it is a great affordable way to build that awareness on social when you're starting out.
My goal is to be the world's oldest expert in Instagram.
I'm not going to argue with that.
I hope I answered your question, Kurt. If you,
Yes.
Awesome, great. If anyone has any other questions that we don't get answered today, you can always reach out to me, email me. I'd be happy to continue the conversation.